Welcome to Community Express. I'm Deanna Zachary. Today we're exploring using computer game technology as a tool for drug treatment. Then a peek into how the Santa Cruz Public Libraries are lending more than books. Plus, community events around the county. It's all up next on Community Express. I'd like to welcome Dr. Deanna Zachary to the show. She designed the avatar-based computer game technology that's being used at Janus, a drug rehab center in Santa Cruz. Dr. Zachary, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. Tell us about this computer technology. How does it work? How do you use computer technology for people with drug addictions?
You know, drug addiction, among other disorders, has been very difficult to provide change and provide tools for the clinicians that would really work and make them more effective and for the patients more successful. And so we really looked at what we can do to help both of the sides. And this technology, which is a compilation of a smart platform that helps clinicians and patients track their goals and their proximity to the goal, and virtual reality technology, which takes virtual reality platforms and avatars and helps them practice the new skills and new behaviors that are really important in their transition from the addiction life to the sober life, and in the environment that is really ecologically valid. And so hopefully that combination is something that is going to help them be more successful and more compliant with the new lifestyle that they're choosing. And
we'll be seeing some of the video of actually how people do it, but people create an avatar of themselves in the computer world, in the virtual reality world, and then they face different circumstances, a job interview, going to the bank, or going to a party and being offered drugs and alcohol. And then the idea is, by practicing this, then they really can do it in real life.
Right. So if you think about any modification in our behavior, be it what we do every day when we make some New Year's resolution and try to
lose weight.
Exactly, stop smoking. This is a variation of that. And what do we need to do? Practice, practice, practice. But most of the time in a conventional, face-to-face therapy, what we have is the therapist sitting with you, just like I'm sitting with you right now in the office, trying to imagine that you are in a stressful situation. For example, if I'm a recovering addict and somebody offers me a drink, not knowing that, that's really hard for me, depending on where in the process I am. And what virtual reality and virtual environments give you is a stepping stone. It gives you capacity to practice in an environment that is valid, that simulates those situations. And for our brain, if you look at it from a neurobiology perspective, after a little while of practicing inside that environment, it doesn't know the difference. And so it really leverages 30 years of research of scientists like Walter Greenleaf and Jaron Lanier, Skip Rizzo, that put a lot of effort into applying these virtual environments for behavioral medicine.
So it's really rewiring the brain through practice.
Right.
Okay, and the technology has been around 30 years. It was used for the military and also folks with post-traumatic stress disorder. And the research apparently looks good that it really does work with folks coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan. So how do we know it works? It's like people are really making changes and able to handle the PTSD?
So there's two different types of virtual reality right now. It's the immersive VR, and a lot of the times you see the pictures of people with the HMDR, with the head-mounted display. That's a type of VR when we really put the individual back into the environment. That is what is being traditionally used with exposure therapy and virtual reality exposure therapy. That is what Dr. Barbara Rothbaum is doing at Emory University. And the research studies really show that virtual reality exposure therapy is just as good as in vivo. That means really going back to Iraq and exposing the person. And we all know that that is really not possible. And it is much better than imaginative exposure therapy, which is what we were traditionally until now left with. You sit in an office and you try to imagine that. And you know, I don't know about you, but for folks like me, it is really difficult to imagine that I am somewhere where I really don't want to be and practice something new. And so this technology really gives the patient more tools and the therapist to be successful.
Do they like it? Do the patients like doing it, or do they do it because they have to?
You know, it's a combination of both. I'm not going to lie to you, exposure therapy is not fun, and neither is recovery. It is very hard work. On the other hand, doing it with the gaming technology takes a lot of the stigma away. And so we have a lot of reports coming from the military folks that it is much easier to go and do the cool game with the doctor than actually going to a psychologist or going to a psychotherapist. That's for some reason, it still has a lot of stigma inside the military. And for the addict population, you know, anything that can make the therapy more engaging and interesting hopefully will translate into more compliance. And we are doing study in Janus of Santa Cruz right now, and we are anxiously awaiting the results to see if indeed the more engagement in therapy, which we are seeing from the patients as well as from the therapist, will translate into better compliance and more effectiveness.
And we'll be talking with David Molina at Janus in a minute, kind of more specifically, you know, with what he's doing with individual patients. Is there, one of the things I've heard about computer gaming is there's a lot of excitement and feeling good about the quest and leveling up as you get better. Is that part of this game, that you feel better as you do a better job?
You know, I think what is really the most important and what we discovered as we went through the process, when we first introduced virtual reality technology at Janus, everybody was excited. The therapist, the patient, it was more engaging, it was more fun, it was far less boring than the typical therapeutic hour. Unfortunately, at the end of the hour, the patient went home and all that progress was left in the office for that hour. Next week, so much happened during that week because these people have a very intense lives that they basically were starting anew. And so we realized that there is something more needed than just the virtual reality environment that we introduced. And so we created the platform that is a smart platform that gives us ability, or the patient and the therapist ability, to set a goal and then feed all the input and information into a visual dashboard that informs them day to day graphically on how they're doing and how close are they getting towards that goal, using also virtual reality and those practice scenarios as a feedback loop. And that seems to be far more effective because all of a sudden you have those situation reinforced by the daily compliance. And you know, you can have fabulous experiences, but without the discipline and without the daily compliance that's necessary, those are just experiences. And so
you can see on the screen that you're getting better, and then you get excited to do probably even better.
Let's hope so. So that's the idea of combining those two together into one program.
And this feels like the beginning of taking gaming in all new directions. I mean, it's been used with PTSD for many years in the military, but I'm reading about using it for world poverty and environmental problems. Is this the next thing that we're going to see? I think you called it serious games?
Let's hope so. Serious games definitely on the horizon. It would be really nice to see the billions and billions of dollars that were spent into the gaming technology put into a different use and see some social good coming out of it. There's definitely a lot of clinical subjects that can use that kind of technology, be it support and treatment of diabetes and obesity, be it the domestic violence and, you know, helping people with anxieties and social anxieties, social skills, resilience and reintegration for a lot of the either addicts or people that are transitioning from one stage of their lives to another, which is very stressful. And so technology can really help. Now the question is, can we get those resources out from just the games into the games with goals and reinforcement and compliance? And let's hope so.
Well, it's so great to talk to you. You're doing it with addiction, and then next you may do it with obesity and
we are looking
body
into
image.
Expanding our program, and we already have programs for depression, anxiety, and obesity. We are looking also into autism. There seems to be a lot of issues that the platform really lends itself to helping parents manage their autistic children and the exposure to all the different situations that they need to go through for the first time. So there's really, the sky is the limit, and one thing to remember, that it is a tool, and so we can hopefully apply the tool in the best ways possible to help the most people that need our help.
Thank you so much. I appreciate talking to you. We're talking with Dr. Ivana Steigman. She's the Vice President of Thrive Research. She was the one to invent applying this technology to drug addiction. I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
High school sports are back on television. We'll be covering all of our county schools, both boys and girls sports, all year long. It's on CTV, Comcast 25, Charter 71, and streaming on our website, communitytv.org. Every Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Root for your home team on CTV.
David Molina is a counselor at Janus and the project manager of the Computer Gaming Project to help people recover from drug addiction. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us, how does this work? How does this gaming technology, how is it applied to people who are struggling with addictions?
Well, currently they're working co-located, which means we have the therapist and the patient within the same room on opposite ends, facing a large computer screen with headsets on. And once they put the headsets on, they engage each other purely in the virtual environment.
So, and you create an avatar. I create somebody that maybe looks like me, and the counselor does the same. And then what kind of situations do you see working that they're really practicing? Like, well, what do addicts really need to practice in order to stay clean and sober?
There's a wide variety of skills someone suffering from addiction really needs to master before they're really able to establish a long-term recovery. One of the hardest ones is drug refusal skills. How do you get in those moments, those everyday life moments where someone wants to offer you a drink, and how do you refuse it in a way that protects your sensibility and is firm enough so you don't actually wind up picking up that drink? When we're working with drugs, it's the same position. A lot of these people have, their whole life is, and friends are around the drug world. So how do they engage their family, their friends, their normal world without taking that one extra step?
So you go into the virtual reality world, maybe a party, and people are coming at you with drugs, and you practice saying no.
One of my favorite scenarios happens in the house. One of the biggest things that people have struggling with is when they're home alone, when there's nothing going on, and it's nice and quiet, and that's when this disorder seems to really start the self-talk. And a normal, happy, pleasant morning can turn into a relapse if a person isn't mindful of the nature of their own inner talk. And so quite often what I'll do is I'll set them alone in the house and I'll become invisible, and I'll speak to them as if it was their addiction and try to encourage them to use and bring them right to the edge, and then stop and go, did you see how that worked? Now,
so you personify, I don't know if that's the right word, but you are the drug. You're heroin, and you're saying it feels so good.
And then we'll switch roles, because I want them to show me what it's like for them too. And it also brings their awareness to what that own internal self-dialogue is. And as a result of this practice 2 or 3 times in a week, in a session, they could actually develop enough resistance to make it the entire week. Now, what makes this whole project even more interesting is that normally the therapeutic hour ends and the person has to go the entire week. But the Thrive package gives us a form of continuing that therapy throughout the week as the patient continues to check in, engages psychoeducational material, develops logs, and the results of all these actually culminate in what the next practice session is going to be in virtual reality.
So you're actually with them in the virtual world 3 times a week, or just one and then they're...
It's one session, but we'll do 3 or 4 practices in a session. We can do quite a bit in an hour. But the most interesting feature is that the software itself helps dynamically create what is needed to be practiced.
So it knows, okay, you did a good job at this, but now let's practice this next time.
Based on what the patient's own needs are.
And how are people reacting, the people, your patients? Do they like it? Do they hate it?
The patients absolutely love it. In fact, one patient quit using just because he thought that was a requirement to be in the program, which it's not the requirement, it's the purpose.
And so that you haven't found resistance? I mean, I know there's gender differences, say, with gaming. You have more men, I think that's changing quite a bit, but more men than women. So have you talked to people who feel resistant? I don't want to do this, I don't want to be in this imaginary world.
Currently, it's a purely volunteer program. What I'm finding is more people are stopping me in the hallways asking me how to get involved in it than how to get out of it. The patients seem to really enjoy it, men and women. I believe in the last time we were interviewed, it was one of the female patients that actually wanted to speak about her experiences.
So you're doing a big study, and the big study will come out soon about the results, but it looks like it's working. What are you hearing back from people kind of proving to you that it's working?
The biggest issue with these patients is compliance. It's hard to get a patient to come every day to dose at the clinic, to do their therapy sessions. A lot of the patients that initially signed in were having a lot of problems making their regular sessions. Once they started in the virtual reality, they were making their sessions every week. Our first clinical trial, we ran it twice a week. They had to make appointments. And that would be really difficult under normal circumstances, but every single one was actually making those twice-a-week appointments. They found it fun and exciting.
And let's just let folks know, you're working mostly with heroin addicts who are on methadone maintenance. They're taking methadone every day as a way to get off heroin. And why start with them? Why heroin? Or you could start anywhere, presumably.
That's true. A lot of it happened to be where I was working at the time, and the people at Janus were really open to hearing a new technology. When I started describing what kinds of things that this could do for them, they became very excited, embraced it wholeheartedly, and they allowed me to take some of my work time to really integrate this into the program. Currently, we have 8 therapists that are trained to use this software. As we go into the next stage of this of our clinical studies, I'm going to train another 2, bring in our perinatal unit, which is one of the Janus units that houses and treats women who are pregnant or women who have very, very, very young children in early stages of recovery. It's going to be really exciting, especially once the jail comes online. Then we can treat the patients that wind up going in jail directly. And
there's quite a cycle. A lot of times folks are in Janus, and they get out, they're in jail, they're back at Janus. So they can, in jail, still be doing these kinds of therapy.
Currently, if a patient goes into jail, they're only seen once a week by a counselor that does a basic group session. So they lose their one-on-one. This would allow the therapist to continue that one-on-one.
Wow. Yeah, it's just amazing. And I'm wondering too, there's so many people that are gaming, it seems like we're really having a revolution. I read somewhere 180 million Americans are gaming. So do you see gaming technology being used in all ways? Is that kind of on the horizon for you?
In my mind, I think we work best when we feel like we're playing. And there's no reason that the game can't teach us something in the process.
So we learn best when we're having fun. Okay. One reason I'm interested in this too is that traditionally therapy or recovery has not been that successful. In terms of what I've read, sometimes people have to go through recovery programs 6 or 7 times before they get clean and sober. It's a disease where you keep relapsing. So anything that is new and looks a little bit successful seems like such a promising thing. Is that your experience, that you see folks over and over and over again?
Yeah, and there's very, very few new and innovative techniques to treat drug addiction. And to come up with something so different, so unusual, everyone is interested. Even people who have been in these programs for the last 30, 40 years are finding an interest in it because it's different. It's something they've never seen before. And when someone openly engages something like that, it also means they're open to learning. And the nature of the environments that we create through the Olive platform and with the psychoeducational content that we use with Thrive really can sink into someone that has not allowed themselves to be open in 10, 15 years.
What about addiction to gaming? We're hearing more and more about folks that are playing 40 hours a week. Will an addict just change the focus from heroin to gaming?
Well, the nature of addiction isn't inherently in the drug itself. Addiction is a type of a disease that's pervasive. So if we just took away the drugs without giving treatment, an addict would move on to something else to use it in addictive behavior. We all know about sex addiction, gambling addiction, and I'm hesitant to say video game addiction because the nature of the way I see video game players when they're playing it is more akin to how someone who's really excited about sports might play. Once more, I've actually seen more things damaging to society as a result of a sports event than a computer gaming event. We just heard about the incident in Los Angeles where the poor gentleman was beaten. We all know about the events that happen at soccer fields in Europe.
So so folks get so excited about sports. Similarly, they get excited about computer gaming. You're not seeing a difference between those activities.
When I talk to a lot of when I study computer gamers and I look at their lifestyles and behavior patterns, they're still engaging their families. They're still having good work. They're still having a full life. It's just their big hobby happens to be meeting up with their friends and going and slaying a dragon instead of going down to the coffee shop.
Thank you so much. I appreciate talking to you. And we should be focusing on Janus. This is at Janus, going to the jail, and then perhaps to other addiction centers across California.
We're going to be expanding in Janus as soon as we can continue getting more grant money coming in. The Community Foundation was so nice enough to give us a $17,000 grant, which has allowed us to build a series of cubicles for people who don't have computers to get involved. Plantronics also gave us a series of headsets to really make this whole process cheaper. So it's been really wonderful to see the community help us expand this.
And probably not long before we have it on our handhelds and we can be doing it all the time. Well, I want to thank you so much for talking to us today. I've been talking with David Molina. He's a counselor and the project manager of this is a very fun title, Avatar-Based Recovery Project at the Janus Community Clinic in Santa Cruz. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Up next, if you don't know what to do with your preschoolers this weekend, the Santa Cruz County Public Library has some good ideas.
Okay, Chloe, all set. Thank you. See you soon. Hello.
Hi, I'm the parent of a couple of kids and I was hoping to get something special from the library for them.
What age are your children?
They're preschoolers.
I have just the thing for you. It's a Read to Me kit that includes books, a puppet, and a flannel board. It'll keep you busy all day.
Hi, I'm Teresa Landers. I'm the Library Director for the Santa Cruz Public Library System. And I want to tell you today about a wonderful resource we have for families. It's called Read to Me kits. I'm going to just get one out here and show you what's inside. We have 400 of these on 25 different topics, and the one I pulled is one of my favorites, wild animals. What you'll find in every kit is a variety of books for different levels, such as a board book, a nonfiction book. In addition to the books, we have extra materials. This one has a CD, a giraffe puppet. You can tell your own story. And it also has flannel board animals. So this one is a wild animal theme. We have elephants and kangaroo and zebra, etc. So you can make up your own story and just post these up on a flannel board. We also have a set of Read to Me kits on tender topics like divorce or death. Here's how you can get a kit. We have them throughout the library system. Some of the branches have them on the shelves, but you can go online to the library catalog, and if you type in Read to Me kits, you'll get a full list of what we have available. You can place a hold, and we'll have that kit delivered to the branch of your choice.
Hello. Hi, I'm a grandma and my kids are coming to visit soon. I have some preschoolers. Do you have anything that might be helpful to me?
Oh, I have just the thing for you. It's called a Read to Me kit, and it includes books, a puppet, and a flannel board. You'll have fun with them.
Sounds wonderful.
Now, Jessica Vo gives us a sneak peek at lots of fun events in Santa Cruz County.
Jessica Vo with your video community calendar, and I am here at the popular Natural Bridges Beach in Santa Cruz. As we wrap up summer before back to school starts, there's still tons of opportunity to enjoy Santa Cruz County local family events. The second annual Hot Rods for Kids is happening on Saturday, August 27th at the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds in Watsonville. There will be a car show open to all classic cars, as well as the 51st running of the Johnny Key Classic Race. Entry is free and all proceeds will benefit the Walnut Avenue Women's Center. For more information, please visit hotrodsforkids.com. The beautiful Capitola Begonia Festival is finally back. You can catch the 58th Annual Nautical Parade float down the Soquel River, watch sand sculpture competitions, fishing derby, and many more activities on Labor Day weekend, September 2nd through the 5th. For a detailed schedule, check out begoniafestival.com. Also that Labor Day weekend is the Watsonville Fly-In Air Show. Experience an exciting air show featuring aerobatics and spinning stunts, as well as military aircrafts such as the U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster and other warbirds. To learn more information about the air show, visit watsonvilleairshow.org. It's time for the 116th Annual Santa Cruz County Fair. There will be 6 days of family funs for rides, games, animals, competitions, and a live concert every night. If you would like to participate in the county fair, there will be over 20 different main showcases and contests. Log on to santacruzcountyfair.com for the complete schedule. And that wraps up the upcoming events. To learn more information about these events and other ways to support Santa Cruz County, check out our website, communitytv.org, and click on the community calendar link. You can also comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CTV Santa Cruz County, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/CTV Santa Cruz. I'm Jessica Vo. You've been watching CTV's Video Community Calendar.
Thanks to all the staff and volunteers at Community Television of Santa Cruz County. Stay tuned each week as we explore issues that affect the world, the nation, but most importantly, Santa Cruz County. I'm Deanna Zachary, and thanks for watching.